Greetings, friends. I wanted to talk about how most of Canada's land is useless. We have the second largest territory in the world behind Russia, but I guess in many ways similar to Russia, most of our land is not particularly useful. It's in land similar to what I'm standing in right now. Close to water level, soggy a lot of the time, if not marsh-ridden, or a lake, or in between lakes. I mean, there's the Rocky Mountains in the west, and there's the plains, where they have a lot of productivity, which is, Alberta, Saskatchewan, that productive zone is connected with the US plains. It's part of that same geographic zone. But I mean, like, most of Canada is like covered, pockmarked in lakes. I mean, if you look on a map, I mean, they're going to be all over the place. So that's why we can't farm. The land can't produce because it's too soggy. I mean, you have to come up with some new technology to drain all that marshland. England had a tradition of draining land, so did the Netherlands in the preceding centuries. But in Canada, it's a bit different. It's a vast territory subject to sub-zero temperatures for more than half the year. So the weather can be extremely hot and extremely cold. Without agriculture, there's no reason to believe that it could support large numbers of people. It would be mostly hunter-gatherer peoples living there in the past. The good farmland is in places where they say the glaciers left down the moraine. Now, whatever you believe about, the preceding thousands of years, the story they tell us, and makes sense, is kind of that the glaciers crushed up the land and they left all the silt, especially from scraping off Canada as the glaciers moved south. They scraped it and they deposited it all over the Midwest plains. And as Randall Carlson said on the Joe Rogan podcast, he said maybe the Canadians are going to want that soil back sometimes. Give it back to us. But no, that's just a joke. And especially when you're thinking about fleeing somewhere in Canada, like I want to flee from the big city, it's like unless you're going somewhere in southern Ontario, which is closer to civilization, you're going to go to a place which is definitely farther north, because this is related to the land itself, but the latitude of Canada. Like Toronto is the farthest south city in Canada. I mean, there's a bit more of Canada which is farther south than Toronto, but not much. And though a city like Calgary can have, they say Chinooks or something. I don't know, I haven't been there, but they say it can get warm there in the winter, so it's not so cold all the time in the center of the continent. Generally speaking, it's going to be colder than Toronto. I mean, I know Vancouver, they have more of a maritime climate, and so does, the Maritimes in the east. Yeah, so that's going to, prevent the really harsh climate. But look at the majority of Canada, that's not where it is. It's going to be farther from the ocean, farther inland, colder winters, just the extremes of climate in both the summer and the winter. Not to mention mosquito-ridden. Like where I'm standing right now, I won't be able to sit here in a few weeks from now. It'll be like I'll be getting eaten alive. Sitting here, I would be getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, but there are not enough of them right now. So that's why Canada is an impossible place. That's why America ended up with the best land, because obviously they were the more powerful, more populous country. Of course they would take the better land. And of course, if Canada was so much more valuable than the US, and it has mineral resources, it has timber resources, it has oil. Canada has real resources, don't get me wrong. But good land for farming is not one of them. If it really did have the good farmland, Americans would have actually conquered Canada and not done a half-hearted effort in the War of 1812 to 1815, where they tried to, and then they didn't work out. But I mean, that's, obviously there wasn't like so much valuable land here. Just up Ontario, on the St. Lawrence River corridor, good land there, good land in the west. But yeah, that's basically the impossibility of the climate and territory of Canada for you. Hasta luego, amigos.